Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of Europa Universalis 4, the converted CK2 save. And when we last left off, we basically set ourselves up to play the game. It's only been less than a year since we started, and basically what we're doing is we are working to improve relations with Scotland. Once they get above 190 opinion, which they're at 104 now, we can start to offer vassalization and then peacefully annex them once they are a subject of ours for 10 years. So that is a peaceful way to snag these three counties here and keep Scotland off of our back. Also, we're working on fabricating claims in England with our spies. We're at 14.8 spy network strength, and once we hit a breakpoint with England, we can go ahead and make a claim. We need 20 spy action to actually make our claim. And basically what we want to do is make a claim on the highest development province first that we can possibly defend. Montgomery might be a good one, as we already have a fort in the area that can protect it. We can work from the north to the south and take Scarborough or Hull, or we might take Sussex, because that would be protected by our London fort when it gets built in 673 days. We have our troops split up here. We'll probably do some moving around, and let's just get into it, shall we? All three diplomats are doing something. You want to make sure that all diplomats are constantly doing something, otherwise you're just giving up those points that could be used. We're collecting in both the English Channel node and the North Sea node, making some money that way, and we're actually at full maintenance and still making 3 ducats a month, which is pretty good. Navies are out protecting trade. We have those 17 light ships and 30 transports protecting trade. It might actually be better if we break off the transports and make those light ships faster, and I'll show you why we might do that here in a second. Our subjects have been talking tales about an old ruler. Legend says that in Great Britain's darkest hour he will return. So if we love a good story, we gain 1 yearly prestige, and right now we decay at 4.74 per year, so that will slow down our prestige decay, and you can see what that prestige is doing for us. The morale of armies is probably the biggest thing. We have a 9.5% increase in morale, meaning we can stay in the fight longer, and also 47% improving relations, so Scotland will be improved faster. Brittany will be improved faster from that high prestige. Also, the aggressive expansion impact and the institution embracement cost. So when the Renaissance kicks off, the higher prestige we are, the cheaper that is to purchase. And the aggressive expansion, when we start taking counties from England, that impact is going to be nice. It will cost us 10 administrative points. We're at 170. And it cost us 27 ducats, which we have. I definitely don't want to lose the 5 prestige and still decay at nearly 5 per year. So yes, I love a good story indeed. So spies are working on England. We're at 16.65 this month, and we gain 1.85 per month. So it looks like next month we'll be able to make our first claim on England, which will give us a casus belli, a reason to go to war against England. And we can sort of pick and choose where we want to go. Let's take a look at these individual counties. So we have a 5 development province in Scarborough, a 7 development province in Hull. Chester is a 5, Coventry is an 8, Montgomery is a 3, Carmarthen is 3. So far, it looks like Coventry would be a good war goal to seize. 6, 8, 10, nice, 6, and 6. So our first claim should be Sussex, I believe. Now what that means is when we actually go to war and we start claiming things, Sussex will be our war goal. We'll have to get a troop on here to siege that down, and that will initiate the ticking war score. So let's diplomacy, fabricate the claim on Sussex right there. Boom. So for the next 25 years, we have a reason to go to war with England, and then that drops us back down to 2 spy network strength. Every time you fabricate a claim, it spins those points, and then you build them back up. Now that we have a claim on them, if they decide to do counter-espionage against us, they can slow down our spy network accumulation to make it more difficult for our spies to work. Bohemia is the Holy Roman Empire. We can see here in the Holy Roman Empire tab who the emperor is, Gotzello. Interesting, and we see who the electors are. If we wanted to dismantle the HRE, we would have to siege down each of these electors all at once. Now, you know, it would be difficult, but it would be 2 or 3 wars. Find people with allies. If they are allied to other electors, call them in, and then just get everyone in the war or in a war. Siege everybody down to where they are at their breaking point, and then we can finally dismantle the HRE. Now that is well above, hitting above the belt. We would have to take on basically all of inner Europe here in order to do that. So I'm not going to focus on that as for sure. That's what we were going to do. We are going to split our navy. So let's take a look at these this navy here, protecting trade. 47 ships worth, as you can see. We have 17 light ships and 30 transports. But if we were to look at our navy tab, we can see sail speed. Right. Where is the sail speed? Here we go. Trade power, engagement with. Where is the sail speed on this thing? Surely. Maybe it's on the actual ships themselves, but I have a hunch here. They're protecting trade here in the North Sea. Now, if I select these, make a new unit here. Oh, they're locked in movement, so I can't break them off until they've completed that movement. So once they end up here, then I should be able to break them off. Come on now. Fine, stop doing... There we go. Let's break off all of the transports, select this unit, and then we will park them in... Oh, wow. That's Sweden over there. We'll park them over here in Northumberland, and then we will let the light ships, or the light ships go ahead and do protecting trade. And because they are faster, they may actually protect more. We'll have to see. Because the fleet moves at the speed of the slowest ship, which would have been the transports. They are much slower than the light ships. So now we might have broken even, but it pays to have, you know, transports ready. That's fine. What we can do with our extra money and sailors is make more light ships to help protect trade, which might not be a bad idea with our money. Let's hit B for the macro builder, go to our naval units, and make some barks here. So 339, 350, they're all going to come out about at the same time. But basically what we want to do is make as many light ships as we can. And in fact, if we were to look at our naval force limit, which is 72 ships, if we had 72 just light ships plus everything else, we would still be making more money because the penalties are offset by the trade power that those light ships bring us. So if we have the disposable income, it might not be a bad idea to continue to do that. Let's take a look at our tech, see how we're doing there. We are almost to Diplo Tech 4, which will allow us to increase our trade range and build marketplaces in our counties, which would be pretty good. That is more local trade power, so we can increase our trade power in these nodes. And right now we have how much trade power? Provincial trade power 51.8 compared to 9. We could really overthrow Norway's hold on the North Sea by building all those marketplaces. Down here in the English Channel, we have 25 trade power compared to 80. Oh, nope, that's England. Boop, sort by trade power, please. So France has 52 trade power in this node that we're fighting. So it's pretty much us heads up with France on how much money we're collecting versus how much money they're collecting. So a little bit more trade power down here in Co or Continent would be very good. But I imagine he's got some pretty strong trade power here on his northern coast. All right, I believe at 25 spy network strength, we can fabricate the next claim. Indeed. So, after Sussex, we might want Coventry. Let's actually take a look at the individual counties. Cambridge is 8. Leicester is 6. Dorset is 6. Devon is 6. Montgomery is 3. That is 5 and 7. So Hull might not be bad. So we'll go Coventry and then Hull. So let's go ahead, diplomacy, fabricate the claim on Coventry. As so, boom. So now we have 2 claims. If we were to go to war, we could take Sussex and Coventry in a peace deal without paying any diplomatic power. We can also try to claim some more counties that they own, but those would cost diplomatic power. And, you know, we're saving up for that next tech group. Oh, we fulfilled a mission here. Which one? Trustworthy Allies. So we had to get 2 countries with 150 opinion or higher, and we've done that. We will get +1 diplomatic reputation for 25 years, which will allow us to improve these guys even more. Outstanding. So acquire subjects. We need 2 non-tributary subjects, and we're working on 1. Scotland here. He's at 166. Improved relations can only go up +9, unfortunately. I think once we get capped at 100 improved relations, we might have to give them a gift to bump them up by 25 opinion so we can offer them vassalization. That would be a pretty worthwhile endeavor. In the meantime, we'll grab another. All right, our theologian is dead. Let's hire a new advisor. So our next level 1 advisor is a national unrest guy. Now, we don't need him for the national unrest. We'll need him for our admin bump. We can afford him there. 1 ducat a month. Now, once we start taking counties from England, they will have separatism. They will be, well, we were English, and now you just come along and smash our face in, so we're going to rebel. As long as this guy's still alive, this 30-year-old, he can do the business. All right, so we have capped out the maximum improved relations, and they're at 175. We need them to be at 190. So that's a 15 opinion bump. So we'll go ahead and recall the diplomat. It'll take him 3 days to get back, and then we're going to go ahead and send him a gift and see when we can get... There's 15 opinion for 25 gold. We'll confirm that. He'll be at 190, and when he gets back, we should be able to offer vassalization June 14th if that decay doesn't happen. Excellent, 190. So 14 June, he will accept vassalization. Right there, boom. So now Scotland is our vassal. They will go to war with us, and now this tab in the subjects is open, and they pay us 0.44 ducats a month from subjects as long as they're loyal. And you can see improved relations and a vassal. So all of that is improved. Now what we can do is we can look and see when we can annex them. So they have to be our vassal for 10 years. So 16 June 1457, we can start to peacefully integrate these guys, which seems pretty cool. So we will go ahead and work on that. Truce will expire with Scotland. So, you know, we don't really care because, you know, they're our subject now. They're not going to rebel. They are loyal. Military access from England. No, we're not going to do that. We're working on claims on you, good sir. Now, to curb the aggressive expansion, I think 3 claims would be a nice start. We'll go Hull, Coventry, and Sussex. Now, we will make the war goal say Hull, because we can get down there and siege that down fairly quickly. Now, let's go ahead and get our troops ready to go. So that's 16 and 4, and these are just 2 cavalry. They're not that effective on their own. 2 cav will not do that much damage. So we will go ahead and merge these guys up, and this will be our main stack here. And we'll get these guys here in York to basically attack Scarborough, move in on Hull, start carpet sieging, we can take these 16 troops, get on Sussex, and go for Dorset and Devon. And then Scotland, with their 6 troops, might actually be able to do some sieges as well. All right, so Britain has 2 oh, that's us. We have 2 heavies there. Instead of protecting trade, what we might do... Oh, what's the supply limit here? 24? Okay, good. We don't want to suffer any undue attrition, that is for sure. All right, so our light ships are made. We'll go ahead and tell each one of these to protect trade in the North Sea. And what that will do is join them up. Whenever they run into each other, they'll be fine. All right, select that light ship, go to the North Sea. This light ship, mission, protect trade in the North Sea. This light ship, protect trade in the North Sea. This light ship, protect trade in the North Sea, and go. Now, all those guys will move to the North Sea, and we can see them start to merge up when we get there. All right, let's recall the Brittany diplomat. It'll take him 5 days to get there. Now, let's see his status. We can offer him vassalization as well. So first of all, let's take a look at our relationship slots. And as you can see, we're capped on relationship slots. If we go over, we will need to spend 1 extra diplomatic power per month. And is it worth it to get these 5,000 troops from Brittany? It may be, in order to get them on the 10-year clock so we can annex them and get Rennes for free. Might not be a bad idea. Why not? We'll offer the vassalization and he will definitely accept it. So there we go. Now we have more vassal income and we fulfilled the other mission to acquire subjects. That was to have 2 non-tributary subjects. Diplomatic annexation costs, minus 15% for 25 years. Unfortunately, we won't be able to snipe all of England in one war. But if we can do 2 quick wars, then we might be able to, but we'll complete that mission anyway. Create a great fleet. So 10 heavy ships, 30 galleys to create the Grand Fleet. That will give us naval tradition, morale of navies, and all that good stuff. Now, since we are gearing up to go to war, it wouldn't be a bad idea to roll a general. So let's go ahead with our 8.7 Army tradition, and this is going to be a pretty terrible general. We can see their general is a 243, which means he does 2 extra pips of damage in the, or his roll is 2 higher in the fire phase. His roll is 4 higher in the shock phase, and he has a maneuver of 3, which means he can move his troops very quickly. We'll roll a general for 50 military power, which will set us back on military tech 4, unfortunately, but we're not going to send our leaderless army to attack an army with a leader for sure. So let's go ahead and roll 1. Skadoosh. So Alfred Boscawen is a 1100, a pretty terrible general, all things considered, but he is better than nothing. So we will use him to great effect, and it might not hurt to have these extra 10k troops on this side to sort of do the pincer. Trap this army here, and then reinforce. Might not be a bad idea. Once we hit 30 spy network strength, so we've got a claim on Coventry, a claim on Sussex, and Hull was going to be our next claim. So fabricate a claim on Hull. And now we have 3 good claims we can go for. So we're ready to declare war on England. How do we size them up? We take a look at their allies. They are allied with Galicia, Holland, and Utrecht. They have 3 allies. We have our subject of Scotland and our subject of Brittany. Now, this may be very tasty for Galicia, Holland, and Utrecht. Utrecht is over here, but they can march into Brittany. So they might actually shift their focus to come down here and knock out our vassal, unfortunately. Looking at their other allies here, we have Holland. Holland is over here, and they have a fleet, I imagine. They may try to land here on our shores, and they are just a quick shipment away. Also, they may see the land down here and go to fight. do we want to split up our army in prep? Do we feel that these 10K troops can handle down here? And we send this 16 stack across the way to help our vassal? Maybe. You know, we can prepare for war right now. And I believe that is a fitting thing we can do. Because there's 8 infantry and 2 cavalry. We have 16 infantry and 6 cavalry. We can definitely flank and reinforce with those infantry to keep the pressure on. And I think this 10K stack can do more than enough down here. Don't march through there. Well, I guess we kind of have to, huh? That's our only path down. Fine, come down here to London. You guys come down here to Hampshire. We'll send our 30 transports down here to Hampshire, and we only need 16 of them. Each transport can carry 1,000 troops, so we only need 16 transports to do the work. But they're all together. It's easier. Why not? All right, so they're ready to go. We'll select our troops. We will click this button attached to transports, and we see the ship icon. And all we have to do is move our transport down here to Encore, and they will automatically disembark. Like so. So now we have a force down there that we can help our vassal out with. 21K troops might be enough to deter them. We have the 10 stack ready to split and head to Sussex, and then move to Dorset and Devon, which isn't bad. And we have our 22 stack to smash the main army here, and our vassal can move in as well. So I believe we are ready to go. Now, the first thing we are going to do is search for mothballed forts. We go to the geographical map mode, we go to fort level, and we look in England, and we see Devon has a fort. It is their capital. Montgomery also has a fort, and it is fully maintained, which means we need to siege them down the long way. If it says this is a mothballed fort, let's see if I can find one here. Fully maintained, mothballed. So if we were to go to war, and we wanted to attack the garrison in Lüttich in Luxembourg, they have no garrison. They are saving money because they are not paying for that fort. If they are declared on in war, of course they're going to turn that fort back on, but it updates on the monthly tick, which means if we were France and we wanted to take this province, if our guys were stationed in Rethel, we declared on the 1st or 2nd of the month, they would have to wait 30 days to get someone in this fort. By that time, of course, we can march our troops up into Lüttich, and it's only one siege tick, 28 days. No matter what level this is, it falls. So it's pretty important to check and see if they have any mothballed forts that you could snipe fairly quickly. Now, England has 2 forts. Both of them are fully maintained. So we are not going to be able to pick off very quickly a siege. But one thing I am happy about, the capital fort is a level 1 over here, just 1,000 troops, and this level 2 fort has 2,000 troops, but it's not coastal, so we don't have to worry about the blockade, which is very awesome. Speaking of blockade, we can take a look at the ledger, at the military and the navies, sort by country, find England, and see what kind of ships are they packing. So England has 3 heavies, 6 lights, 7 transports. So what I think we can do is we can bring our Royal Navy together, all of our medium ships and our 2 heavies together, and we can press the fleet game. There's the 3 heavies and the 7 transports. They are docked in Devon. Once we siege down Devon, those ships will have to come out into the channel. We can have a superior navy waiting for them right there. So we'll go ahead then. We will get everyone resting into the channel. All of our ships together. And then that way, if they try to pull their navy, we will be right here together. Our heavies will be together. Our transports will be together. And we will have 49 ships ready to basically defend and run a blockade between the 2. We can transfer these troops over if it's getting bad. If we hold the channel, our transports will have no trouble getting from Encore to Hampshire. So now we are ready to go. We have a free diplomat. Now that's important because you have to have one free to declare war and as well as to sue for peace. So we need one, and we might as well go at the end of the month. There we go. September 1st, we are ready to go. Now, why do I keep this spy here? Spy network strength against England. If we were to look at the spy network strength, we can see how we increase. But it does things like siege speed and things like that, the higher the spy network strength. So we're going to keep a diplomat there ready to go in England. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us go. We are going to declare war. He is going to call in Utrecht, Holland, and Galicia. We can call in Aragon and Hungary. And we can see the reasons they will accept. British diplomatic reputation is everything. Hungarian manpower -1, so Hungary is suffering a bit. But if we call in Hungary, they can take care of Utrecht and Holland. They can march all the way through here and basically distract them and do what's called the strength of the alliance. So when the enemy is determining, have you won the war, they'll look and see, how many allies do I also have in the war? So we don't want to go in ourselves and have these three countries with strong armies out there doing nothing, even though England is sieged down. But if we have Hungary and Aragon in the war, then they're going to say, well, holy crap, we're beaten, and they also have these two very strong people on their side. We might want to negotiate some peace. So we will absolutely call in Aragon and Hungary. So you're thinking, okay, that's how you call in allies, but why do these have check marks? Can I influence this in any way? Well, we can. Attitudes towards enemies +20. If we send a diplomat to Utrecht and improved our relationship with them, they may not want to join a war against us. Looking at Holland, defensive war and diplomatic reputation, they're going to be all in no matter what. And attitude towards enemies with Galicia. So Galicia kind of likes us. So if we wanted to spend some extra time, we could send our diplomat over, send some money these guys' way to try to deter them from not joining the English war. And it's just, you know, the long game. Especially if Utrecht, Holland, and Galicia had a strong army, that would be something we could look forward to. But if we call in Aragon and Hungary, Aragon's over here, they may take care of Galicia. Hungary's over here, they can take care of Holland and Utrecht. And then that will allow us, Scotland, and Brittany to focus on everything else. So we are going to take the war goal. You can see we can pick our war goal here. And we ask, what is the easiest county for us to take and hold? And any one of these are good. None of these are protected by a fort. So we don't have to worry about a long siege in order to take any of these counties. It'll just be a 1-month tick and we're good. So I think we're going to take Sussex as the war goal. These 10 will march here, break off, and continue on to their capital and Dorset. These 22 will march in and take Scarborough and Hull. And let's do it. We are now at war. So first things first, let's get these 22 marching that way. We can get these 10 to march on Sussex. And what we'll do is as soon as these guys are here, we'll break off a siege detachment and head on over to Dorset and Devon. And we will watch and see how combat works here. So let's slow this down to speed 2 so you can see it. Allies will be called in the very next day, and now Scotland is on the move. Now here's combat. When we select, we can see the attackers and the defenders, and this is the first fire phase, and this is the first dice roll. We can also see that we run at 105 discipline. We're at that 5% discipline increase because of our advisor that we hired in the very first. We can look at the morale, and we have a 2.8 versus a 2.6 morale, meaning that if both of us were at 100% morale and full maintenance, we would still have just a bit more morale than Britain or England. Why? Because we have 2.8 max versus their 2.6. So we already started ahead. And then both of us are equal on military tactics. We can see a breakdown of how many troops are in each army, and we have a visual representation of what is going on here. So we can see all of our infantry are lined up against their whole front line, which is ideal. This is their cavalry, and cavalry have flanking range, as you can see. So right now, our 4 cavalry on the side is attacking these 2. This cavalry right here is flanking this one. So this cavalry is not being directly engaged and really wrecking face on the corner. That's why it's important to have as many infantry in the front row as they do total. So we wouldn't want to engage them in a 6 infantry, 2 cavalry deployment, because then it's just a heads-up number. What we want to do is approach with 10 infantry so that our cavalry is doing all of the flanking. So this infantry is engaging this cav. This cav is not being engaged by anyone, neither is this cav. This cav is not being engaged by anyone, neither is this one. So we are really doing damage to these guys over here, and you can see the regiment strength. In the first roll, they've already lost about 40 men. And remember, the combat strength of each one of these is how many men do they have. So we can see 964, they're fighting at 96% strength. We look at us, our regiments are fighting at 97% strength. We haven't lost as much. Now in the first dice roll, we rolled a 3, they rolled a 0. Because of our river crossing, our dice roll is subtracted by 1, so we rolled a 2. And because their leader is a 1 fire leader, they are basically rolling a 1. So, losses will appear over the heads. Boom. We lost 96 and 172. They lost 172, we lost 96. Then it's the next little bump. Now it's the shock. This is where the cavalry hit hard. And we can see that we rolled a 6 minus the 1 for a 5. They rolled a 1, and their general provides 3. So they rolled a 4 versus our 5. We are going to do more damage this particular turn than them, but they are still going to hit us. But we can see we are crushing their morale. Let's do the next little boop. So they lost 700 to our 300. They're losing double because of this next dice roll. All right, let's go to the next phase, and it is going to be the fire phase. So we're going to rotate around back to the fire phase here. 3 shocks and fire. We rolled a 9 minus 1, so an 8 versus their 3. Dice rolls were very, very good this particular round for us. Dice play a pretty significant role. If we were to roll 0s the entire time and they were to roll 9s, even though they're outnumbered, they would still be killing more of our people. We may still win the battle because there's more morale to go around, but we would definitely be in trouble. Now this unit has made it to Sussex. He just arrived. What we're going to do is break off a siege. Detach the siege. It will keep just enough men there for the siege, and that's 1,000 troops. Now, if any of these 1,000 men were to die, we would no longer be at 100 siege status. So it might be a good practice to leave 2 behind, just to ensure that this thing falls on the next siege tick. We want infantry to do the majority of the sieging. So now we're going to move on to Dorset, and these guys will be suffering 2% attrition due to the siege. So on the monthly tick, here in 20 days or so, they're going to lose 2% of their men. That's why I had that extra 1,000 troops. So even though they lost some, they can still continue the siege because it will fall in 26 days. But the end of the month will be after that, so they will suffer their 2% attrition before the fort falls, and then of course we wouldn't be able to have siege status. So that's why I did that. Scotland is moving. Let's go ahead and play. That battle is over. Now what this was a stack wipe. If you finish, and I believe it's but before the second round of shock, if you completely wipe their morale before the second round of shock, everyone dies. We killed all 8,000 men, infantry, all 2,000 cav, and only lost 1,000 infantry to do it. All of our cav are staying strong. We didn't lose a horse, which is good because they are expensive. Okay, so now we can do the same thing. we can select this army here. They are sieging. We are going to create a new unit. And this is the importance of shift consolidate. So you can see all of these units are only fighting at about 80% strength. These regiments here that were in the front row, fighting head-on with those guys, took a bit of a beating. These infantry were not touched. They were providing support. If any one of these infantry ran, they would have filled the gap in the center. So we want to keep 2,000 fresh soldiers to do the siege. So we will select this unit and move down to the war goal. And then what I am going to do is when they arrive here in just a few days' time, we lost a naval battle. That was our fleet. We still have our ships down here blockading here, and that's going to be good because the port is down here, which means if we have ships here to block Devon, we are going to get 1 positive siege status on this fort. And when we start sieging down the fort, you'll see what I mean. So when these troops get here, what I will do is do what's called a shift consolidate. I will select the group, and I will hold the shift key and consolidate. So what that means is they are going to take men from all the other regiments and fill them up to 1,000, leaving some behind. So I will create the new unit, and you will see that we have a regiment here with 0 men in it. None whatsoever. If they were to get engaged, they would do 0 damage. We also have one fighting at 36% strength. We're going to pull him off and get him to friendly territory. What that's going to do is allow them to reinforce from our manpower pool much faster than if they were standing here. So let's go ahead and break off this siege here with some fresh infantry. We'll create the new unit, leave 2 infantry behind, and select this unit. I'm pulling from the left to the right because the leader stays in the left group, and because I don't have a leader with siege pips, it wouldn't make sense to have my leader stand here and do nothing. So we'll go ahead and march to the next province. Let's go Coventry, why not? And we will play. Now once this 8K gets to Dorset, I'll break off, and right there he is trying to hire a mercenary or build a troop. And you can see right down there in Carmarthen, that dude there, he is trying to hire someone. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea for us to try and go and siege that down, but we can't unless we pass through Glamorgan, and then we can go to Carmarthen and seize the fort in Montgomery. And that probably isn't a bad idea. Now, why am I doing this? Because if we were to march and then try to march from Montgomery to Carmarthen, we wouldn't be able to because we would be marching onto a fort. But since we are going to be bypassing the fort and marching through here, we can get here and then head to Montgomery once that is sieged down. So let's go ahead and break off a siege here with 2 infantry. And then what I'm going to do is select this unit. We will march up to Devon, but I will break off the cavalry and park them here in Somerset because I don't want these cavalry getting attrition. So I'm not making a fighting stack in Somerset, that is for sure. I am doing a save as much money as and manpower as possible stack. So there they go, they march to the capital, and now we can see negative 42% siege speed. We will detach a siege and get our 3 cavalry to Somerset. To back them up, I will get the group from Sussex to come down, and that is fine. These forts haven't fallen yet, so once they do, I'll get these guys down here to Cambridge, Leicester, Coventry, you know, and do the work there. There's Scarborough occupied. So these guys can move on down to Chester and start sieging that down. As long as there's no fort, 2,000 troops are going to be enough to do the work. So these, we're doing a bit of carpet sieging here because we don't have to worry about British troops. If they had a massive army marching around here, of course you don't want to split your army and just make it easy pickings, because if they come with 10 times more troops than they attack, it is an instant stack wipe. So 21,000 troops comes through here, we lose those 2,000 without even a fight, which we don't want to do that for sure. Hull is done. We'll march to Coventry. The Cav have pulled out, and now they are not suffering losses. And it looks like we have Scotland coming down to sort of help us out. That's fine. They can help us out with our siege. Let's talk about the siege here. We can see that because it is a higher fort level, we have -1 modifier. If our ships were not here blockading, and you can see the 100%, we are blocking 100% of this county, and this county, in fact. We have enough ships to do that. Once this falls, then we will definitely have more than 100% to do this. But if you have a navy that can't blockade this whole strait, take a holding, and then your entire effort will be on the remainder. We can see if our leader had a siege pip, the 1 would be there. If we knew the technology for a cannon, and we had 1 cannon in here, it would be a 1 bonus. And the -1 blockade is not there because we are blockading. If we roll a natural 14, and as you can see from our a dice roll, if we roll a 14, we get a wall breach. Think of it as a natural 20 in Dungeons & Dragons. Bam! We knock the wall down. Then we can send these 3,000 troops in to assault the holding with the breach against these 1,000 troops. Not going to do that because we're not in a rush to siege it down, but we could do that. And right here is a perfect example of the morale difference. Because we have higher morale thanks to our prestige, we are both fully maintained, but you can see the morale difference. This is them at 100% compared to our 100%, much, much higher. Let's continue on with the siege. These guys are moving on. We now have control of Dorset, so we'll go ahead and move these guys up to Somerset to join the Cav, so we don't have a weak army just sitting here doing a whole lot of nothing. We'll merge them up, and then we could probably move these guys to Oxford and actually break off a couple groups of 2 to siege down Leicester and Cambridge, which is probably not a bad idea before that troop pops out. You can see now that our troops have reinforced a bit. We have 200 infantry here, 500 infantry there. If we were to shift Consolidate, we would almost have enough men to have a complete regiment. Now, if we were to just click this button, this regiment would go away completely. It wouldn't reinforce, which means everything reinforcing from the manpower would be centered here. But like I said, we're not in a rush. We don't need to reinforce these guys up to maximum right now. We can just bide our time. Let the troops trickle in, as it were. All right, so here's our leader. We will detach a 2-stack here. Select this unit. Move on the fort at Montgomery to stop them from making a troop there. Finished on the 17th of December. All right. So they did manage to get a troop. So we've got 7,000 troops. We're going to be flanking like crazy. He doesn't have the base morale. So this will be a quick and easy fight. It's not times 10, so we will still fight. But they will be surrounded by our 2 cav. So our 1 infantry is the only one being engaged by this 1 infantry. And our cavalry are flanking. It's going to be amazing. If he survives to the shock phase, that's going to be... Nah, he didn't. So we only lost 131 troops, killed 1,000. That's what I'm talking about. We will go ahead and detach a siege right here. And we'll move on to Cambridge. Let's create a new unit. Get 2,000 troops over here. We've detached the siege there. Let's create a new unit and move these 3 cav off to Oxford. And it won't be a full 2,000 troops. Awesome. We've got that siege down. Let's go ahead and detach a siege here and move them into friendly territory. Now, if we were to stay in these counties, we would be getting loot. So you can see that each tick we gain a little bit of gold. Now, we don't want to do this to the provinces that we are claiming because right here, the devastation affects supply, institution, goods produced. which, you know, this in the English Channel node. We want these counties as powerful as much as possible, but we don't really care about this one. We don't care about Dorset or Devon. We can keep troops there to siege it down like crazy. Now, if we're planning on taking more, that's fine. Oh, 1,001 cav. And it's unbalanced, so he's only going to do 50% damage. So even though we're engaging with just 2k, it is an outnumbered cav, and we lost 90 there, but there we go. So this is every holding in England. Yeah, and Brittany's even holding that one. So this will be a full occupation of England once all of this drops. So the siege ticks. Every 26 days, it rolls a dice, and you can see siege status. So water shortage increases. There is no chance that it's going to fall in 26 days, but as we continue to roll dice and those numbers, the siege status continues to grow, that's added to the dice roll, making the dice roll more and more powerful each and every turn, and then finally we'll get positive progress. But this is a pretty good stopping place, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like he's got a cavalry here, but completely blockaded by Scotland, so we've got 30 transports. Once Devon gets sieged down, we could do that, or we could take this fleet, or this army here, this 8K, load them up on the boats, march in from the Irish Sea, do a landing, because I don't think this 1,000 troops is going to pose much of a threat. But that is going to do it for me in this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Still taking it kind of slow, explaining the feel of warfare. It's a pretty easy war so far. But next episode, we are going to discuss war enthusiasm, blockades, make some demands, and look at war goal percentage and ticking war score, and go from there. But that's going to do it for me in this episode of Europa Universalis. Ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.